This is CBC Vancouver News.
I'm more worried for the high school students. They're losing the end of their year and credits and stuff like that goes towards graduation.
With still no timeline on when Fort Nelson evacuees can return home, how families and students are coping without school. And
here's Hughes with a shot towards the net, and Brock Besser has 4 tonight.
hitting the hockey world hard, the Canucks' leading scorer, Brock Besser, is expected to miss Game 7 against the Edmonton Oilers due to what reports are calling a blood clotting issue. Plus,
we're going to start growing here, and people are going to start getting recognition, and we're going to start getting opportunities here as well.
For the first time, Canada's men's team is headed to the International Cricket World Cup next month. What that could mean for the sport in BC. Hello, thanks for joining us. I'm Janella Hamilton. Officials have now confirmed the Parker Lake wildfire in northeastern BC has destroyed multiple homes and damaged properties. The mayor of the regional district says they'll work to help the victims. But for others today, there was more hopeful news. The CBC's Sam Sampson looks at how evacuees across the West are coping this long weekend.
The way Liam Sistad sees it, he's had more than a week to perfect his game.
When I first heard the news, I felt scared, oh wow, we're gonna have to leave things behind. But now that I'm here and that I'm kicking a ball around outside in this warm weather, I'm actually kind of glad that we were evacuated.
More than 4,500 people from Fort Nelson, BC have been out of their homes due to wildfire. While some are hoping to go home soon, others won't get that opportunity. The municipality says fire has damaged 10 properties and destroyed 4 homes.
My heart goes out to them, and we're going to do everything we can to work with them to try to make this as smooth as possible.
The nearby fire is still out of control, but municipal leaders say it's not coming toward the community anymore, meaning they're prepping for residents to come back.
Like making sure the utilities are in place, making sure the grocery stores are ready. We haven't returned any of those people to the community yet, but we're talking to them about getting their plans ready.
About 675 evacuees from Cranberry Portage in northern Manitoba are heading home this weekend now that a massive fire nearby is under control.
I'm very nervous. I'm happy we're going home. The fire isn't out yet. It's just under control. It's going to be a very stressful summer for us.
And rain in Fort McMurray, Alberta, helped crews get a handle on the fire burning nearby.
We're pretty excited to get home.
Though that fire is still out of control, officials gave more than 6,000 evacuees the go-ahead to come back Saturday, some with apprehension.
The only question is the wind going to change direction again and go towards town shortly after we get back?
Though officials say it is safe for people to return to Fort McMurray, they do note that residents will have to learn to live with the fire for weeks, if not months. Because even though recent rain has helped, summer is creeping closer. Temperatures will rise, and they say fire activity is likely to increase. Sam Sampson, CBC News, Edmonton.
While the community of Fort Nelson has not yet been given the all-clear to return home, as we heard, the regional district has already begun getting essential services back up and running in preparation for residents. And in the meantime, as Julie Landry reports, students forced to flee town are still trying to navigate life without school.
The kids from Fort Nelson are not coming to school in Fort St. John. They already missed 4 days and won't go back for at least another week. I went to a campground near Fort St. John filled with evacuees to talk with families and check how they're coping. You can feel that the parents are worried, they try to stay strong, they make sure their kids are busy doing something, and they try to reassure them.
I think the kids think it's kind of like an extended spring break. They don't seem to mind too much yet, but they know something's up.
Well, I have 15-year-olds as well, and I'm more worried for the high school students. They're losing the end of their year and credits and stuff like that goes towards graduation.
For the Fort Nelson School District, the priority is to keep the families safe and provide them with help, like financial help. A temporary office was created so the administration could keep on going. They restarted to pay the staff, for instance, and gave away gas and grocery cards for some families. It's a challenge to keep up with the 700 kids scattered in 20 communities. Some wonder if online learning can be a quick option, but it's not the priority.
People left with what they had. So they're in hotel rooms and in trailers and with a fire threatening their community, right? So we're not in a place to go to something like online learning.
If this extends, towards the end of the year, we have some ideas around some space that we would be offering and some staff to support.
The superintendent said it's way too early to be talking about long-term, but he did say that whatever happens in the next weeks, the 12th graders will get their high school diplomas and there will be a graduation ceremony at some point. For CBC News, I'm Julie Landry in Fort St. John.
The Vancouver Canucks took to the ice this afternoon ahead of a do-or-die Game 7 at home Monday. The best-of-7 series is tied at 3-3, and the winner will face the Dallas Stars in the Western Conference Final, which starts Thursday in Texas. The team's coach trying to keep the mood a little more lighthearted leading into tomorrow's high-pressure game.
Well, hang on, before we start, Demko's starting tomorrow. So.
Actually?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm joking. Let's get it out of the way. It's all about confidence. Believe in what you're doing as an individual and as a team. I've talked to a few guys, Z's joking around. A lot of guys are, very confident, joking around. It's a loose group. But also there's some guys that, you can tell that, that's why it's important that you get to them, talk to them, and make them understand it's, you've done it all year, and just, replay those good things in your head. That's really what it comes down to, visualization.
The situation that you're finding yourself in a Game 7, could you possibly have predicted this?
Playoffs, you never know. Both teams want to win to advance, so it's a game of wills, right? We have an advantage, Game 7 at home with a crowd like this. I'm sure we're going to be all energized for tomorrow's game.
As a group, this group hasn't faced elimination yet. What do you think that'll look like, the response to that situation?
We respond well after we don't bring our A game, so we expect the same as a group, and that's part of the culture in here and the standard, so that's what we're looking forward to. We know it's going to be obviously electric in here, and we need to respond accordingly. Obviously, Game 7 is do or die at this point, so we're going to need to flush everything that's happened up to this point and win one hockey game.
And it looks like the Vancouver Canucks will be heading into Game 7 without Brock Boeser. According to Hockey Insider and Sportsnet reporter Elliot Friedman, the 27-year-old Canucks right winger will miss Monday's second-round playoff series against the Edmonton Oilers due to a blood clotting issue that is not considered life-threatening. Boeser logged 18 minutes and 40 seconds in ice time during Vancouver's 5-1 loss to Edmonton in Game 6 Saturday and did not appear to be dealing with any injuries at that time after the game. CBC News reached out to the Vancouver Canucks about Boeser's condition. The team says it will not be commenting at this time. For the first time ever, Canada's men's cricket team will be competing at the International Cricket Council's T20 World Cup in June. It's the furthest the team has made it at the international level. Our Sohrab Sandhu caught up with a group of young cricket players today who hope Canada's involvement in the tournament will help grow the sport in BC.
Players from the Stallions Cricket Club in Surrey are getting ready for their match Sunday. It's a sport's 17-year-old Arnav Sekhri has been playing most of his life.
Professionally, I've been training for around 4 or 5 years since I was 11.
Sekhri and his teammates are looking forward to seeing Canada represented at next month's ICC Men's T20 World Cup.
It's really important that they have made the T20 World Cup because that means that it's going to start growing here and people are going to start getting recognition and we're going to start getting opportunities here as well.
Canada will be one of the 20 teams participating in the international tournament taking place in cities across the US and the Caribbean islands. Young athletes like Sekri already have their eyes set on their favorite Canadian cricket player.
I'm really looking forward to see Pargat Singh playing.
The player I'm looking out for is Kaleem Sana. He's the opening bowler for Canada and he's amazing.
Mannat Handal says there are growing opportunities in BC to pursue the sport professionally.
It's not just a summertime sport. We can go there, pursue it in winter, and like actually practice and have hope making it a career even.
For these players, it's inspiring to see Canadian cricket players compete on an international stage.
I've been playing cricket in Canada for over 100 years, and I think it fell away a bit probably 30 years ago, but it's coming back in a big way.
Playing against Pakistan, India, that will how many millions of people are going to watch them, and that will show Canada's on the map of cricket in the international level.
5 of the selected players for this year's World Cup squad are from BC.
Back in that days, we used to have 1 player or 2 players competing in Cricket Canada. Now we are lucky that we got 7 or 8 players competing for Canadian team.
You drive on the streets in British Columbia, you see a cricket field almost everywhere. Cricket has changed so much, and I think it's way more competitive.
Canada will be facing off against teams from India, Pakistan, Ireland and the USA at 2024 World Cup. It all kicks off on June 1st when Canada takes on the US in the tournament opener in Dallas. Saurabh Sandhu, CBC News, Surrey.
BC Ferries is bracing for a very busy day tomorrow as the May long weekend comes to a close. It's the 4th busiest weekend of the year for the ferry service. To make traveling a little smoother, BC Ferries is reminding passengers to book in advance to secure a spot. If you're traveling with a vehicle, arrive at least 45 minutes before you're sailing. And if you don't have a reservation, consider traveling during off-peak hours or walking on board. To Kingston, Ontario now, where 2 women and 1 man, all in their 20s, were killed in a tragic boating collision this holiday-long weekend. Police say a fishing boat and a speedboat crashed just after sunset Saturday. JP Tasker is near the scene with more on what we know tonight.
The May-long weekend, the unofficial kickoff of summer, ended in tragedy on this lake in eastern Ontario's cottage country. 2 boats collided with devastating results.
It was kind of scary, just more ambulance, police, fire department, volunteer, more than I've ever seen at any kind of incident in my life. I did not know what was going on.
3 people dead, 5 more injured, 1 airlifted to hospital. Their condition critical. First responders rushed to the water's edge after a frantic call for help around 9:30 p.m. They squeezed down this country road. Police dispatch tape reveals what they found. VSA stands for Vital Signs Absent.
And we do have 2 patients VSA, 1 patient going unconscious at this time. We'll need all hands on deck.
Some people were still in the water. They had to be pulled out. Police say a speedboat and a smaller open bow fishing-style boat violently collided.
An update from the team here. We do have a concrete dock with a fishing boat against the dock and a sports boat on top of that boat. Crews are performing CPR in the fishing boat.
While officials are still piecing together what went wrong here at Bob's Lake, what is known is the collision happened after dark, a particularly dangerous time to be on the water.
There's no seatbelts, there's no airbags. People can be tossed out of the boat when a boat suddenly comes to a stop because of a collision.
The collision comes as cottagers return to this summer playground.
Just tragic and sad how fast something like that can happen.
The 3 people killed were just young adults, 2 women, 21 and 22, a man, 23, all of them from this area, South Frontenac, about an hour's north of Kingston, Ontario. Police are not saying if alcohol was involved in this or if any of the victims were wearing a life jacket. Boating experts I spoke to today say the laws need to be tightened up. It's not just enough to have a life jacket in the boat. They say all passengers should be wearing one. They say right now that's just optional. JP Tasker, CBC News, Charlotte Lake, Ontario.
It's a stark reminder for recreational boaters here in BC to take extra caution on the water this summer.
And number one, obviously, is
put your life jacket on. Number two, stay sober, as you would in any vehicle situation. I mean, being impaired is as much a consequence on the water as it is on land.
Recent data from the Drowning Prevention Research Center shows more than 70% of boat-related drowning victims in this province were not wearing life jackets. White says it's also important to make sure all vessels are properly equipped with emergency equipment. A bee walk at UBC aims to educate people about the importance of native bees by getting up close and personal. As Michelle Gomez reports, experts say some bee species in Metro Vancouver are disappearing at a concerning rate, and more needs to be done to protect them.
This is a yellow-faced bumblebee queen. You see she's quite large.
People gathered at the UBC Botanical Garden on Sunday to learn about bees in a very hands-on way.
We get people to come and actually catch bees themselves. They use a little hand net and they hold it over the flower and catch the bee. And then we put the bees in little vials. We put them on ice. They calm down and cool down. And then we're actually able to handle the bees and identify what species they are.
And many learned bees are friendlier than one might think.
I didn't think they'd be that easy to catch without getting stung. They've been kind, no stings, they've been very gentle.
We got to handle them and they're so calm that our perception probably changed from this.
Among the crowd, an expert bee catcher.
And how many bees are you at, Freddie?
This is my 16th that I'm trying to catch.
But it's not all sunshine and rainbows in the bee world. Native species that are important pollinators are at risk as invasive honeybees take over.
Our native pollinators are facing declines due to factors like habitat loss or the loss of flowers, things like pesticides like glyphosates and neonicotinoids, and other things like invasive species, disease, climate change.
In a recent UBC study, scientists found invasive honeybees represented more than 40% of the local bees they observed. These bees were introduced from Ontario and Europe to be used in greenhouses, but have now made the Lower Mainland their home.
Honeybees are unable to replace our native bees. We need to be prioritizing native bee conservation in order to help protect our native ecosystems, keep our food systems healthy and our ecosystems healthy in general.
The organizers hope educating the public on bees will change perception and help conservation efforts.
Save the bees! Don't kill them! Don't kill them! Just let them live.
Michelle Gomez, CBC News, Vancouver.
Why some Swifties think traveling to Europe for the concert may end up being better bang for your buck. That's next. Stay with us. Turning to international news now, Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi is dead, killed in a helicopter crash. The foreign minister has also died. It happened in fog in Iran's northwestern mountains as Raisi returned from visiting Azerbaijan. Before the site was found, state television cut into programming showing rescuers on their way and people across Iran praying. Video captured Raisi earlier on the visit. As president, his position was subordinate to the supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, but he was viewed as a possible candidate to be successor. Thousands of Canadian Taylor Swift fans are flying across the pond to catch the pop star on her Eras tour. As Nisha Patel explains, for those who can swing it, a European vacation may actually be more affordable than seeing her at home.
My name is Taylor, and welcome to the Eras tour.
After selling out stadiums across the continent, fans still can't get enough of Taylor Swift.
It was like one of the most amazing nights of my life. It was just incredible.
Brian Kingston saw the pop star perform in Detroit last year. Soon he'll hop on a plane to the UK for her London concert.
But I found it was much cheaper than even what I paid for face value in the US.
It's still big bucks, but for Swifties who can afford it, the cost of a flight, hotel, and show in a European city may be a better deal than hometown tickets. On ticket reseller StubHub, the cheapest seat for the Toronto show in November is listed at more than $2,800. Compare that to Stockholm this weekend, $83. Why are prices for some European shows so much cheaper?
The demand probably in some of these countries is not as strong relative to other artists. Maybe she's not like the number one.
There are also differences in the secondary ticket market. In North America, someone can resell for as much as they like. While in all these European countries, tickets are only supposed to be resold to someone else at face value.
It's had a really positive effect. You see far fewer listings of tickets being resold for a profit because the law is quite straightforward.
Julia Rowley has been to 3 Taylor Swift concerts and was disappointed when tickets to Canadian shows sold out instantly.
It's super frustrating. It was especially really frustrating when the concert tickets first dropped and then immediately, there was people selling them for thousands of dollars marked up.
She decided to shake it off and saved up to see Taylor Swift in France.
When we were able to get the Lyon tickets for $250 Canadian, we were super excited. I don't even think we looked at where the seats were.
Ready to make memories that she says are priceless. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
Here we have a live shot of Canby Street and City Hall in the background. I'll have your full forecast coming up next.
Hey, I'm Rohith Joseph. Vibin' is the new show all about discovering great new songs and fresh artists from across BC and beyond. Stream Vibin' on CBC Listen.
All right, it is time now to take a look at our full forecast. Let's begin with the temperatures around the province tonight. Some precipitations in places like Dease Lake with a low of 1 overnight. Prince George, same situation with a mix of flurries at a low of 4 overnight. And in Kelowna, a lot more heavier rain and possibility of thunderstorms overnight and a low of 6. And moving into tomorrow, we're going to dry up in many places across the province. Fort St. John drying right up to a high of 19 for tomorrow. Kamloops, a high of 20, 18 in Victoria, and 15 with mixed precipitation of both rain and snow flurries in Bella Coola with a high of 15 for tomorrow. And moving here to Metro Vancouver, 5-day forecast. Tomorrow for our long weekend Monday, 15 degrees is our high. It's going to cool down ever so slightly for Tuesday with a high of 13. The water in Howe Sound is filled with activity these days. As the CBC's Monier Blanchet reports, herring are back in large quantities, and that's attracting marine mammals on the hunt for food.
For almost 3 weeks, some residents of West Vancouver have been treated to a rather special concert. These California sea lions live in groups. They sleep and enjoy the warmth of the sun huddled together. And that can lead to some pretty noisy spats. In fact, sea lions like to talk for the sake of talking to anyone who will listen.
And essentially, it's just part of their personality.
These males are here because of the abundance of food available.
We saw them eating smaller herring off of a big bait ball of herring in that area.
In the past years, sea lions will have settled near Wildfire Park or across the bay. This year, it is on this floating raft that they have settled.
I've never seen them on this float, which is normally for the children. Now they're having their playground there.
And while the barks, grunts, and roars can disturb some people, Ian Morgan considers himself lucky to see the sea lions and nature so closely.
In the world we live in, to see something so simple and pleasurable is a lift for us all.
Monia Blanchet, CBC News, West Vancouver.
We are so fortunate to live on the West Coast. That is your late news for this Sunday. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. For news anytime, head to our website at cbc.ca/bc. Hope you have a great night.